Good afternoon, friends. I'm Stephen Benoon with my wife, Yana Benoon, here on it's called the Stephen and Yana Chat, not on Stephen and Yana Chat. No such thing as that. But anyway, other than the fact that we titled that. Anyway, we do want to speak to you guys a little bit about Joe Imbriano. Video that he made there calling us Mossad agents. And I know that, Yana, you've watched Joe for quite some time.
I still like him.
Always have spoke about him very highly, and because of the research he does. And I know you seem, if I'm not mistaken, his education, you guys actually have a very similar background on education. Not that you majored in biology or anything, but you did do a lot of biology, anatomy, things like that. And I think that's what you said he has a background in. But at any rate, he's accusing us, Celeste, and maybe even Deborah Tavares, as all being Mossad agents.
I guess. Yes.
You would think a guy that's this educated would do a little bit better research before accusing someone falsely. Joe, I really am hoping to get a check from Israel now that you mentioned that, unless it's being diverted to the Trump campaign or something, and I just don't get any benefit out of this. Right. At any rate, Yana, you go ahead and speak about this, please.
Okay, so we got a lot of emails, text messages this morning. Joe Imbriano says that you and Salah Salom is are Mossad agents. So I would like to play for you what he said before we address this.
Are we on, folks? All right, this is Joe Imbriano coming to you live. Today is Wednesday, July 15th, 2020. Want to welcome you all to this broadcast of the full...
Goodness. Sorry about that, guys. Let me go back to the beginning. I can't see without my glasses on. So.
And this is your host, Joe Imbriano, P.O. Box 4121, Fullerton, California, 92834. On the web at thefullertoninformer.com, dangers.com, celltowerdangers.com, vaxdangers.com, wifidangers.com. Folks, I gotta tell you, these agents of subversion like Celeste Solom are really getting out of hand, and I'm gonna make a few statements this morning exposing this Mossad agent, because that's what she is. There's nothing like polluting the body of Christ with literal lies, right? And taking away the joy and the assurances of people that are in Jesus Christ, right? John 10:28 tells us that I'll give them eternal life. Jesus says, I'll give them eternal life, and no one shall ever pluck them out of my hand. So, Celeste Solom is a blasphemous, controlled opposition agent who is basically a spirit of Antichrist, in a sense. And, she's working with Mossad agents like Israeli News Live, Ben Nunn and his wife. Maybe she's just along for the ride. They get people on there, the fear porn queen like NASA Tavares and, these other agents. Look, folks, Jesus Christ...
Okay, he's saying that we get fear porn queens on like Deborah Tavares.
Deborah, okay.
Yeah,
yes,
so he's accusing Deborah of being a fear porn queen, and we are considered to be Mossad agents, as long as with Celeste, which is nothing further from the truth than you could imagine.
Okay, so we would like to assure our listeners that Steve and I are not Mossad agents. We never were Mossad agents. We have some friends who are in Mossad, and the friends is like friends, like they're not buddies, but there is one person.
So they're more of professional sources, is right. What they are. I've had three of these friends that I call friends because they're kind enough to share information with me. Two of them were more of a husband-wife team years and years ago from the early age of the ministry. And the one that I speak with more so now is not directly in, but his family is very much involved with this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we ourselves never were in any Mossad. We are actually exposing Mossad CIA operations and Zionism and Rabbinism, Pharisaism, Talmud, Kabbalah, and Zohar. So this is what we do, as most of you know. So, and when it comes to Celeste Solomon, I would like to assure you that she's not Mossad agent. Celeste did work for FEMA. This is out of her own admission, right? This is the reason why we wanted her on our show, because on our programs, because we wanted to know information about what FEMA is planning for humanity. And she has exposed a lot of this information. Now, with her information, I can assure you that I have done my further research, and she's correct on a lot of things she's saying. I don't consider it fear porn. I consider it being informed. The same thing when Deborah Tavares comes and talks to you about, when she talks to you about Rockefeller and the Rothschild documents, I consider it to be informed, to be understanding what the enemy is playing, what the enemy is doing. The same way as Joe Imbriano is telling you what they're doing with 5G and Wi-Fi. Is that a fear porn? I mean, he's telling you they're killing you. So he's accusing us of something he probably is guilty of himself, if he considers that being fear porn, because that's all he's talking about. I have considered Joe an expert on 5G, and I have recommended him very highly on my in my previous conferences. So, and I want to prove it to you. But first, Celeste Solomon on 4G, on AI, on geomancy, on Kabbalah witchcraft, and on all of this that they have unleashed on us right now. She's absolutely correct. One of the books to read is called Transhumanism by Dr. Joseph Farrell and Scott Hart, and they have compiled what transhumanism is and what it means for human race. Quite scary stuff, but something you should probably know. I am preparing myself a lot of information to give you. And then, as I promised, I will be talking about who is behind this whole. Kabbalah Jews, the elite Jewish rabbis who are working with demonic entities and who are approving on fourth industrial revolution and considering AI revolution as if it had some kind of very good messianic role. And this is all described in here. So no fear porn, just being informed so you understand where all of this that is upon us, where is it coming from? So I was hearing that Joe was saying that we are never talking about 5G, and since we don't talk about 5G, we are controlled opposition. We do talk about 5G, but not only 5G. It's not just 5G, it's all of it together. It's a lot of things together. And 5G is a part of it. In fact, 5G is what is going to feed the AI. AI cannot exist without 5G. And yes, 5G is a weapon. 5G is extremely dangerous. And I will show you right here where I spoke about it already last year. And this is not the only time when I did. But yes, I have warned about 5G. You want to say anything, Steve?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of comment on there because the issue, as you talk about, the AI, and Celeste Solomon also talking a lot about the vaccines and what's in those. And that's another issue we've covered as well, because the one source that I have in Israel, I covered this as far back as September of last year, where they were working with AI, mingling that with human, talking about a company that would make D-Wave look like it was on steroids. And so we've mentioned that. And even so far as Nephilim DNA being placed within this type of creation that they were making. So when Celeste recently brings this out, that's like 8 months to a year after we had already shared this information. Of course, she's bringing it from a different perspective, so I appreciate that. And yes, you've talked about 5G for quite a long time.
Yes. Now, when it comes to Celeste, just one more thing that we want to make very clear. We invited her because of her expertise, because she was in FEMA after all, and we wanted to hear from someone who worked in FEMA and knows about documents and knows about their plans. And I know it sounds kind of unbelievable. However, it's not fear-mongering. It's a lot of truth. But I do have to mention that when it comes to some of her theological points, Steve and I are not on the same page with Celeste, okay? So we don't necessarily agree with all of her theological views. We have completely different views theologically. Not all, but pretty a lot of views. We have just a different opinion on biblical prophecies and a lot of biblical stuff, but we do appreciate that she is sharing information on FEMA documents. But anyway, I have talked about 5G a long time ago and recommended Joe Imbriano as an expert. The reason I did is, as I understood at the time, he has a degree, I guess it's an undergraduate degree in chemistry biology. I don't know if it's minor or major, I don't know. I know he was accepted to medical school and he dropped out or something similar or didn't even enter. I don't know, so don't want to talk about that very much, but he has a lot of knowledge on how 5G affects human biology, and that's why I have recommended him as a very good source of information. So I don't understand why he is talking about us this way, but oh well. Here I am talking. Let's start at maybe 43.
If you have a Wi-Fi in the house, you should definitely turn it off at least at night. Have it on a timer. Let's say that you are online between 4 and 6 p.m. This is when you turn it on. The rest of the time, turn it all off. That's very important. Otherwise, you are in a microwave. Or have a hard wiring down in your house. Hard wiring brings really good speed. Very good speed. So you don't really need a Wi-Fi. They only make you think you need it. Okay? So 4G operates at 4.2 gigahertz, same as microwave, and that is the frequency where molecules of water start to rotate on their axis when subjected to this. So we are already affecting water in our body. You know, we are 70% of water. Children have even higher amount of water in their bodies than us. So children are affected. So what happens if we raise frequency of 5G, which is going to be called not Wi-Fi, but Y-gig, that's what they're renaming it, and let's say we raised it to 60 gigahertz, which is a 5G. Remember between 10 and 300, and they can go up and down as they wish? Let's raise it to 60. Now this here, I have to give a credit to a person called Joe Imbriano. Okay, Fullerton Report. And who knows him? Okay, I want all of you watching. Now, he's not believer. Is he believer? Yes, he is. Sorry, maybe he is. I mean, I'm just watching because he's a scientist. He has a degree in chemistry and biology. So he's not just some kind of Joe talking. You know, he's a real scientist, and I think he said he was in a stage of denial and an anger. I think right now he's at anger/activism because he uses some words I don't like to use in public, but in private, you know. He gets passionate. Yeah. I like people like this because they're the ones who make us aware and they get things done. And he's an activist and he actually really does something about it in his community. He goes out there to people that matter and he really tries to do something about it. Yeah? So I like him a lot. And this is all his research. Okay, he says 5G effect on oxygen molecule. He says 60 gigahertz is the oxygen molecule absorption spectrum. At this particular frequency, our oxygen molecules are being affected. Oxygen is brought to your cells by hemoglobin in your blood. It binds to iron. By the way, this is why
Okay. But anyway, as far as real scientist, I actually thought at the time that he's got master's degree, but in the meantime, I found out he has undergraduate degree and he was accepted to medical school, but then he dropped out or he didn't willingly continue because of how they teach doctors.
Right.
But anyway, I actually liked him and recommended him. So from him, constant attacks on us, Steve. And now that he was saying we are Mossad agents, which is complete 100% lie, I just had to show you the proof that we had never anything against him. I actually recommended him. I liked his work. I still do.
Well, he said you were just along for the ride.
Anyway, I just wanted to let you know we do talk about 5G effects, but it's not just 5G. 5G is a juice for AI. 5G is a weapon.
Well,
and he's absolutely correct on a lot of things he says. But, you know, in a body of Christ, everybody has a different role and everybody has a different specialty, what they specialize in. We did bring out 5G, but we were
we
kind
cover
of
many areas.
we cover many other areas, so we don't talk 5G every single day like Joe Imbriano does. And he has absolutely no right to speak lies without knowing us and knowing facts. And in fact, you can see that I have kindly recommended him. That was in 2019, January or February 2019, long time ago, okay? So anyway, you make your own judgment. We are not going to come back to Joe Imbriano. He's welcome to speak whatever it is he wants.
Well, one thing I do want to clear up as well, though, Yana, because people will, you know, even when they watch this video here, they will probably come to the statement and say, well, yeah, but Steve was in the CIA, and therefore one CIA, always CIA.
Yeah.
Let me clarify something on that. I'm not going to get into that subject very much, but I did spend 7 years in the CIA. I was recruited actually from high school and groomed to come in. I was placed in law enforcement. Everything was done very strategically for what they wanted me to be able to do. Very much need-to-know basis. I did not have inside knowledge on things, but the issue I want to address here is when they say one CIA, always CIA. There's probably a lot of truth in that for most people that have ever been in. But for me, the situation had gotten so out of hand with the government, with the Iran-Contra scandal, things like that, that my partner, who was an assassin, which I was not an assassin. Many of the things that he did, I did not know till after the fact. I thought we were fighting communism.
Mm-hmm. And Russians, right?
That's right. Well, I was told we were actually fighting Russians. I remember the first person that was ever taken out. That's what I was told, that it had to be done for that, for the good for the country. But they had to stage my partner's death in the 7th year that I was there in order to keep things from him actually from getting caught from doing the illegal things that were being done in the CIA. And it gave me an exit from the CIA without causing a lot of repercussions. And I know my last year or two in there, because of the way I was beginning to know more and more about what was going on, it was a godsend for me. Because as a Christian, I was a Christian then, I was becoming more troubled with what I was starting to realize was going on. Didn't know the depth of it at that time, but it was bothering me, and I think God gave me that out by this happening. So that's what separated me from the CIA, and I've been separated ever since. Mm-hmm. Okay, so no, you're not always that way.
Well, thank you, Steve, for clarifying that. And you did speak about your experiences publicly. We had several conferences where Steve have talked about it to private audiences, at least on 3 occasions. So, but anyway, we wanted to address Joe Imbriano, just in case you friends are wondering, no, Steve and I never were Mossad agents. Thank you for watching. And we are going to do some news updates tonight since we are in a studio for now and we are able to do this and we have compiled a lot of news. So tune in back to Israeli News Live. Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching. I'm Stephen with my wife Yana Benoon, Israeli News Live.